Hey, all my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel, where we embrace our femininity, increase our womanly value, and celebrate our brothers. So join me on our feminine journey to learn, heal, and grow. Hey, how we doing today? How are we doing today? Good to see everybody this Monday. We are just going to go over something that it had been brought to my attention. I had seen it mentioned a few times. I thought maybe I should look into it and see what this whole decentering men 4B West sort of thing, what this is. So I did a little bit of research to find out where it comes from and why are Black women saying anything about it. I was trying to figure out, what did it have to do with Black women? Why are y'all jumping on this bandwagon? So I just we're going to read a few articles so that everybody can be up to speed. Thank you so much, Steve. So what it is, good sis and peeps. Thank you so much. I appreciate your support as always. I continue to be amazed why do Black women, that's why the thumbnail is like it is. Can't stop windmilling. Can't stop jumping out in the middle of the street. Just with your wigs on the ground. Just can't stop getting your hair pulled. Can't stop being slung to the floor for the same things over and over and over. But we're going to really talk about it. So for those who are unfamiliar with what I'm talking about, 4B movement, this is originally South Korea's version of feminism. So the first thing that I want to do, we're going to go to the website for, you know what, I'm gonna go to the article. Okay. Now, in order to see the whole article, you gotta subscribe. I'm not gonna do it, but it's enough here comes from. Okay. A world without men. Right there, you messed up. The women of South Korea's 4B movement aren't fighting the patriarchy. They're leaving it behind entirely. Young Mi's childhood was a difficult one. The 25-year-old nurse was born to a poor family in Daegu, South Korea. I'm not going to even bother saying these South Korean words because I can't pronounce them. Known for being one of the most conservative cities in the country, Young Mi's mom left the home when she was young to escape her husband's physical abuse, leaving her and her sister behind with him and their paternal grandmother. When she was 5, her 8-year-old sister started losing her hair from stress. As she grew older, Young Mi found herself depressed, unsure of what her future held, and they were financially unstable. In Korea's patriarchal society, in which women are generally expected to defer to their fathers and to adhere to rigid beauty standards, she felt like a perpetual victim, obsessed by the wrongs done to her by her father and pressured into maintaining her appearance in order to please men. Despite her meager budget as a nursing student, she purchased new clothes each season, spending a lot of money on cheap, poor quality clothes from H&M. Now, it's interesting that they said poor quality clothes from H&M because H&M want to be low-key high here in America, but whatever. Anyway, she wore makeup religiously. I could not go outside without any makeup. I felt ashamed of my face. I had this pressure of wanting to look beautiful and wanting to be desirable physically or sexually. While scrolling through Twitter in 2018, Young Mi came across footage of protests taking place in the streets of Seoul in South Korea, where cases of femicide, revenge porn, and dating violence are widespread. A surge in spy cam sex crimes, overwhelmingly committed by men, had mostly resulted in fines and suspended jail sentences if they were prosecuted at all. That was not the case, however, for one 25-year-old woman who had taken a non-consensual photo of a nude male model at art school and posted it online. She was sentenced to 10 months in prison and court ordered for sexual violence counseling. The demonstrations were a reaction to that blatant hypocrisy. Are y'all with me so far? I know I'm reading, right? But at the same time, you got to be careful how much of this we take in, because the article is American based. This is not an article coming out of Korea with the experience of Koreans. So we have to be very mindful of something called propaganda, where our news and media outlets get to give us information about foreign countries, foreign societies, and trying to relate to us those experiences. And we don't have any idea about those experiences because we don't live there. And we don't know anybody that lives there. I know no one. I know no Koreans. Okay. So I would not be able to verify, as many of you would not be able to verify any of this information. Okay. So we wouldn't be able to say, oh yeah, I know some people, or I lived in Korea for 15 years. It really is like that. You see what I'm saying? We don't know that. I don't like, and I'm careful about these articles. The reason that I read the articles is for general information and to actually peep the agenda and the propaganda within it. Okay. Young Mi was moved by the solidarity she saw, but there was one thing she found perplexing. Many of the women at the protests shaved their heads on camera. As she began to follow more feminist Twitter accounts, Young Mi understood this was a public act of rejection of those same aesthetic expectations imposed on Korean women that have made the country a leader in grooming products and plastic surgery. She began to realize, men do not do that. Men do not feel pressure to buy clothes every season or to wear any makeup. Soon, Young Mi shaved her head too and stopped wearing makeup, joining the so-called escape the corset movement happening among young women in South Korea. The movement first gained popularity in 2018, saw Korean women publicly turn away from societally imposed beauty standards by cutting their hair short and going barefaced. Okay. This eventually led to Young Mi to 4B, a smaller but growing movement among Korean women. Now, this is key. What's key, Crimson? The fact that it said it was a small but growing movement. usually that small, potent, sort of extreme movement, that is usually the destabilizing agent. That is typically the portion of the propaganda, or the portion of it that serves as the thing that that destabilizes a society. What we called in America radical feminism. Right? She went online. Okay. So back when Black women were infiltrated with feminism, they had to come do it physically. They had to, wasn't no online, wasn't no social media to join. They had to do it. They did do it through media, but it just wasn't as accessible as social media is to everybody today. So they had to do articles in magazines. They had to distribute information, misinformation among the women in that way. First, to make it palatable, make it seem innocuous, like there isn't going to be a problem. We're just empowering women. We're just letting women be themselves. Surely there's nothing wrong with that, right? And then it became very quickly more and more radical. White women termed that radical feminism, which is the baseline feminism for Black women. The baseline feminism for Black women is radical feminism. So I need y'all to be able to draw the parallels as I read. Okay. This eventually led Young Me to 4B, a small but growing movement among Korean women. 4B is shorthand for 4 Korean words that all start with B, or no. I am not even really going to try. The first no is the refusal of heterosexual marriage. The second no is the refusal of childbirth. The third is saying no dating. And the fourth is the rejection of all heterosexual sexual relationships. Now, mind you, this is an open attack on heterosexuality. Please understand what's being said. It is both an ideological stance and a lifestyle. And many women I spoke to extend their boycott to nearly all men in their lives, including any male friends. Through open chats, Young Me connected with other feminists where she lived with her mother while attending nursing school, soon meeting each other offline. It's easy to recognize each other with short hair. She stopped seeing her friends from high school and middle school whose conversation still revolved around makeup, clothes, and boys. When we met last November at Cafe and Soul, where she'd been living for the last 2 years, she was barefaced and dressed comfortably in loose jeans and a white jacket. Her hair was long enough to be pulled back into a ponytail, as she'd grown tired of people asking about her hair at her nursing job, but it was tucked into a white baseball cap. Feminism, she said, had helped her recognize that it was patriarchy that was the problem, not her, that the bad things that happen in your life are not your fault. So the first lesson of feminism is no accountability. One of the first lessons on the ground of feminism is no accountability for women, as we've just heard. Nothing that go wrong in your life is your fault. That equals no accountability. You don't have any say, nor is it any, you don't have any accountability, responsibility, or any input at all for the foolishness that you do in your life. I'm gonna go back. I know it's an article, but it's important. For young me and many others who subscribe to its basic premises, 4B, or practicing Bihan, is the only path by which a Korean woman today can live autonomously. In their view, Korean men are essentially beyond redemption, and Korean culture on the whole is hopelessly patriarchal, often downright misogynistic. A 2016 survey by the Ministry of Gender Equality and Family found the incidence of intimate partner violence at 41.5%, significantly higher than the global average of 30%. While 4B's adherents may hope to change society through demonstration and online activism and by modeling an alternative lifestyle to other women, there's that word, that phrase, alternative lifestyle, they are not trying to change the men whom they view as their oppressors. It is too soon to tell whether the movement can survive or thrive over a long haul. But the ideas and actions have already affected the country's online discourse, its politics, and most of all, individual women's lives. Now, it's an interesting take because this sounds like an ineffective version of MGTOW for women in Korea. I'll answer. I'll bite. So, is it in a woman's nature to be rebellious? It is in our nature to be chaotic. That could be rebellion or not. That doesn't have to be rebellious. It's in a woman's nature to be chaotic, though. Chaos is the opposite of order. Men have order, women have chaos. So women actually need men in order to bring order to us because we have chaos naturally. If we don't control it, or if we can't control it, then we're looking at all of the negative implications of that. We're looking at extreme selfishness. We're looking at extreme consumerism. We are looking at rebellion. Yes, we would be looking at that. We would be looking at that as well. Chaos. Okay. So I don't want it to mean that just because women have chaos that we are always rebellious. It's not always. It doesn't always manifest itself as rebellion. I'll put it like that. A woman's chaos is not always manifest as a rebellion, but that doesn't discount it either. I've often likened a woman's chaos to fire, to the nature of fire, or really even to nature. Fire is beneficial. We love fire. We use it all the time. It's extremely beneficial, extremely valuable to mankind. Fire. But fire always needs order. The only fire we don't like is the one that's not in order. The fire that we can't control. That's the one that's destructive. All in brush fires, even a fire in your home has to be controlled. The fire that come through your fireplace, the fire that come off your stove, right? We like that fire because it's not consuming everything. It's not out of order. But a fire that is not in order is extremely dangerous. Will consume everything. It is not in order. It's acting according to its nature, though. Another example of what women's chaos really is think about a lawn, trees, landscaping. It's like if men do not attend the grass, the trees, the shrubbery, the plants, if men don't attend them, what will the plants and the trees and the shrubbery do to the buildings and the order and all of that stuff? What will it do to it? Right. So if we allow it, if it is allowed, the plants and the trees and the shrubberies, and it will overtake anything. Exactly. It'll overtake. Is the plants doing something wrong? They are acting within their own nature. They're growing. That's not their fault you put a building right there. That you put order here. Okay. What that's got to do with the trees? Nothing. But if you don't want it to overrun, you have to clip the shrubs and cut the grass and make sure that the trees don't, make sure that the ivy don't break the bricks, and you got to make sure. You got to make sure that the tree roots are not going all the way down to break the infrastructure of the sewer lines. You got to make sure, like, you got to tend to it. You got to consistently bring order to it. You can't bring order once and then think that the trees and the grass are not going to come out of order. They are. You got to do it every week. You can't like go clip the grass down and be mad 2 weeks later that it grew right back. Why come I cut the grass? Why come you just can't stay cut? Because it's grass. Why would it stay cut? That is female chaos. That is female chaos. Order always have to be brought over and over and over and over. Not once. That's why you can't tell a woman. That's why you can't give her an order and let it stand, that order stand for the next 50 years without having to reiterate it. Right. So I'm not going to. It's an interesting topic. So chaos can come from order, but no order in chaos. Things start as chaos, and order is brought to it. Even when we read the Bible in Genesis, it is in chaos. Formless void. full of potential. Darkness was upon the face of the deep. And then what did the Most High do to it? He brought order to it. He ordered it. He ordered it. It was in chaos. He ordered it. Right? He brought order to it. In the womb, a child is a female. All eggs are female. It starts in chaos. It starts in chaos. Male sperm has to introduce something else to it, which would be the Y chromosome. That makes the baby male. Otherwise, it would be female all the time. That's got my mind in a different space. But in any case, let's go back. Oh, before we go back, let's go to a commercial break. So after these messages, we'll be right back because I need everybody to go to ashkicking.com and get your order of body butter and other body care products like deodorants, facial moisturizers, things of that nature. This company is very, very awesome. The products are of extremely good quality. They smell awesome. They feel awesome. You will not ever be disappointed. If you're trying to keep your skin awesome, springtime's coming up. Okay, soon we're gonna be in sundresses and t-shirts, so you cannot be ashy. So if you don't want to be ashy, you gotta go to ashkicking.com. The link is at the top of the chat. If this is your first order, please do not hesitate to use a 10% discount to get using the promo code Crimson on your first order. So once again, the link is at the top of the chat, ashkicking.com. Get your order today. I don't know how many likes I need, but I owe y'all a bam, 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 bam. You gotta hit the like button, bam, bam. You gotta exclusive content for my members. So one of my mods, please also drop the membership link so that you can become a member. We've got 2 levels. We've got the first level. I just added a few extra little perks to the levels as well. And then we have the second level, and that's where you're going to get the access to membership level videos and soon to come membership level live streams as well. Okay. All right. So thank you. Yusuf said, who in their right mind would support this crap? Because they're not in their right mind, right? Thank you. Alan said, facts. Thank you. Fourth Dimension said, did you catch the solar eclipse? I didn't really look at it. It was evident that the eclipse was going on just because of the way the sunlight was muted. But in any case, let's go back to the article, right? And there's more, right? So it says practicing behind means you're eliminating the risk that comes from heterosexual marriage or dating. Yawan, I'm butchering these names. Just bear with me. A 26-year-old office worker told me on a cafe terrace in the seaside southern city of Busan. We talked over coffee and pastries along with her girlfriend and another of their friends, all of them wearing wide black pants and black sweaters and sporting cropped short haircuts. Those risks that she alluded to might seem familiar, trading career for child rearing and housework, as well as the threat of physical violence. But in Korea, she said marriage presents an existential threat. There was a time when Minji, a 4B adherent, had wanted to get married because, everybody wants to get married. Knowing what she knows now, however, like that domestic violence, as she puts it, is so common. I don't want to get married anymore. Minji, 27, is probably heterosexual, she said, and has liked guys in the past, but they wanted her to, quote, treat them like a king. So she has no problem boycotting the men of her generation who are little better than her selfish and abusive father. You see how they putting all of this negative in there? Even young women who are not members of the movement echo that they cannot imagine dating or marrying a Korean man. Another teacher, I'm not going to be butchering these ladies' names. A teacher in her early 30s told me that talking to her male friends made me always feel like, oh, maybe I can't find a Korean man. Even in my generation, some guys expect a really traditional role from their spouse as if to prove her point. A recent survey by a matchmaking company found that women were reluctant to marry because of the division of housework, while men hesitated because of feminism. Now, here's where it gets interesting. It is unclear how widespread or popular the movement is, given its fluid online and offline nature. Okay. Beginning somewhere around 2015 or 16, when a simple no marriage lifestyle grew to include a boycott of men and reproductive labor more broadly. One article estimated 50,000 adherents. Others have put the movement's number at under 5,000. Origin story is similarly complex, though its contours can be traced. That means it was implanted. I want us to understand, when they don't know how something started, it is an implant. Okay, it's an implant. It's a plant. Okay. Following years of financial crisis in which young people face growing housing costs and intense competition for university spots and jobs, the way women and men related to each other openly soured. Beginning in 2013, the rate of college enrollment among Korean women surpassed those of men. The female enrollment goes up in the universities. Peep that, okay? Peep that. All right? Today, nearly 3/4 of women are enrolled in higher education, compared with less than 2/3 of men. Previously, women were expected to drop out of the labor force after marriage and parenthood. Now, young men see their female peers as competitors for increasingly scarce jobs. In online forums and on social media, disgruntled men began labeling college-educated women as kimchi women, giving a name to the stereotype of Korean women as selfish, vain, and obsessed with themselves while exploiting their partners. Okay. Around 2014 and 2015, a virulently misogynistic and anti-feminist community called Ilbay, I guess it is, grew in size and prominence. In its interpretation, women were demanding additional rights and privileges when they already benefited from avoiding the country's compulsory military service. To the Ilby community, the entire female populace is gold digging and shallow. Female Korean internet users responded by latching on to misogynistic strategies like trolling, mockery, and abusive language. Okay. Now, I want to skip down to something very important. Do this stuff sound familiar? This sound familiar, don't it? Don't it sound familiar?
You don't find that suspicious? You don't find that suspicious? You don't find that suspicious?
Do that sound familiar? High enrollment for the women. Don't want to be traditional women anymore. Mad at the men. LGBT community. Competing. They haven't gotten to masculine yet, only because women being masculine is a byproduct of all of this. So the women are not masculine yet. Not yet. I want to get down to this little portion right here. There are other consequences to foregoing long-term partnerships with men. You don't say. Korea has the largest gender pay gap in the rich world, with women earning 31% less than men, and women still face widespread discrimination in the labor market, something that the movement recognizes. A widely circulated 2018 tweet encouraged 4B women to save the money that they would have otherwise spent on self-fashioning labor to sustain an independent life instead of winding up a penniless granny with a wardrobe full of clothes. Women who commit to 4B just work hard because they know they will not have a breadwinner or a husband. Okay. Young Me and her girlfriend live together about an hour by subway outside of downtown Seoul, where rent is more affordable. She said her small studio apartment, the best option she can afford right now, is in an unsafe neighborhood near a market where drunken men often congregate after the bars close. Her partner, who works in IT, recently moved apartments because her last one had cockroaches. The economy is a very important issue for us. You don't say. Other 4B groups host events with personal finance experts to help women learn how to save and invest. A subgroup of an online community is specifically focused on economics. Members post job listings, advice on which banks are offering the best interest rates, and other financial tips. We're going to stop. Let's go to their website. Because they already have decline in birth rate in Korea. So we've got some salient points that are across the board with feminism. First, the indoctrination of the women in school. Because school is where they're learning it. School is where they are learning the lost value system. To worship money first, and thus devalue men along with that. Empowering women means giving them access to education and money. Once the women get access to education and money, the men no longer have value. So the tree, the feminist tree, often ends in the alphabet community. which we see clear evidence. But before it's the alphabet community, it's the radical feminism. The radical feminism tears the family, the nuclear families apart by creating gender war. Above that, where do I always say feminism come from? Its birth is white survivalism. That's where it was born from initially, originally here in America. Okay. But Crimson, they not black in Korea. No, they are not. They're Korean in Korea. But colonization is the same everywhere. See, this isn't about race. This one is not about race. Feminism proved to be a wonderful destabilizing agent for any community, be it large or small. Who was the canary in the coal mine for that? Mouse Utopia? Moynihan Report? Which community was the canary in the coal mine to figure out all the end results of feminism and how it will destroy an entire group for generations to come? Oh, you mean we can put together this formula? It doesn't have to be race-based, but we can put together this formula and it'll destabilize? Let's try that again. Went to Africa, went to the continent, introduced it in the various countries in Africa. They got feminism too. Breaking their whole country. It's breaking their entire society. Oh, it's a good it's better than sending CIA spies to a country. It's better. Sending feminism is better than sending CIA spies. No longer do you need open CIA spies and espionage to be introduced to and to subvert a government that way. All you need is somebody to come through with feminism. It's a destabilizing agent, a really, really effective one. And one that could be used without tracing it back to any particular group, people, or country. So you can't really say America's behind it. How you gonna prove that? How do you prove? You can't say any European country is behind it. How do you prove that? How would you prove that? You can't prove that, because from what everybody's saying, this was just floating around on the internet. And then it just so happened to pick up. Right? Feminism only works in post-industrial societies. Feminism does not work in agrarian societies, nor does it work in any society that is currently industrializing. It has to come after, where the society is prosperous and where women feel free. And when they feel free, that is when Shaitan comes to them. Fill the women's heads with all these ideas. Get them to think about, do you really like the way that you are treated? And there may be some undesirable things going on. We don't know. We're not in Korea. So there may be some undesirable treatments that the women experience at the hands of the men. Because no doubt it truly is patriarchal, as most thriving societies are. They're patriarchal, right? So there may be some instances, but isn't that every society though? Every society has cons. Every society has its downfall. Every society has its ugly side. Probably not in Korea, though. I don't know that them Korean men play that. So if there's physical abuse stats, it's probably majority men to women at this point in that society. We can say that for this society, but not necessarily. I would not imagine that in Korea, the women are fighting as much as or more than the men. Right? So they start pointing out all of the bad things that happen in the society and then say it's happening because you're a woman and they're men. It's a destabilizing agent. Let's go to their website. 4B. What is feminist separatism? Feminist separatism is the theory that feminist opposition to patriarchy can be achieved through biological women's separation from patriarchy and men, in alignment with our sisters in South Korea. Now, 4B West means Black women. This is Black women taking up. That's why I called it. That's why I say can't stop windmilling. Can't. In alignment with our sisters in South Korea, the West 4B movement upholds itself to the same active principles surrounding the decentering of men. We have taken out the A and E in the terms woman and women due to its oppressive history of being used to claim ownership over us. Women is singular, women is plural, blah, 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 stupid stuff. The West 4B movement. South Korea's 4B is shorthand for 4 Korean words, all starting with B or no. And we went over that part, right? No heterosexual marriage, no childbirth, no dating, no sexual relationships. Okay. Says, similar to the women in South Korea, women within the United States are facing very identical circumstances. No, they're not. Regarding life under patriarchy. No, you're not. So the West 4B movement stands with the women of South Korea in their outline regarding the separation of themselves from men. Let's go to the fact page. What is 4B? Make this even a little bit bigger. South Korea's 4B shorthand for 4 Korean words, blah, 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 blah. We went through that. Are you Korean? Why are you bringing this to the United States? Similar to the women in South Korea, women within the United States are facing very identical circumstances regarding life under patriarchy. What happens to women in the United States is directly linked to their biological gender. The overturn of Roe v. Wade is one example of how patriarchy removes bodily autonomy from women. We at West 4B believe that if we cannot have the freedom we need to coexist with men and be safe, then we will remove our proximity to men to avoid harm, criminal prosecution, and imprisonment. Now, who is imprisoning women for being around men? I want to know. Our freedom is paramount, and if interacting with men infringes upon that freedom, then separation is needed. I'm trying to figure out who goes to jail in interactions between women and men. Even if the woman starts a violent interaction, the man is more likely to go to jail and face some fine or some jail time or some charges. Anyways, do you ladies hate men? Of course not. We at West B love men. We love them so much that we decided to listen to them. Sounds like a fake MGTOW. We have heard their complaints regarding how they feel about women and view them. We want to give all men the peace that they so desperately need. The 4B tenets ensure this: no babies, no sex, no marriage, no dating. When women stop doing these things, men will surely have nothing further to complain about. It sounds like a petulant child. It sounds like a petulant child. You know how a kid go all the way to the extreme? If you don't want me sitting over here, then I'll just sit over there, and over there be way across the park. See what I'm saying? That's basically this. Y'all complain about women all the time, and y'all don't like women, and we gonna give y'all peace. Well, we can give y'all peace to just stay away from y'all, and then y'all won't have to be mad at us. Because since we so problematic and so much trouble, then if we so much trouble, then we don't have to be troubled, and we just don't have to be nowhere then. And then you don't have to be bothered with us no more. Right? Cause I mean, you the one said that we don't bring peace, and no, you don't like us. Well, fine. You don't like us, fine. I am a black man. Such lies. I'm a black man, and I know for a fact Korean women hate black women. Why are you stealing their movement? Black women are treated well in America. Racism is a caveat of patriarchy. Historically, men have used racism to separate women from all races from speaking to one another. Now it's the men's fault that if the women don't get along. Because women have always tried to speak to other women, right? That's always been a communication that was cut by men, right? It's the evil men, right? Women of other races were also weaponized against black women by black men. Korean 4B women do not hate black women, and we were given their blessings to start 4B in the West. Women of all races should unite based on what is happening to us because of our biological sex. Women of all races should be speaking to each other to change the systems in which they live under. Isn't 4B a little extreme? Prison is extreme. Prosecution is extreme. If having sex with men will lead to prosecution, they spelled that wrong, or imprisonment, then not having sex with men makes sense. Since we have no power, we will remove our bodies from situations that will infringe upon our freedom. Sex with men at this point in history is not worth a prison sentence. Well, where is this narrative coming from? Who's going to jail? Just making up stuff. I am a mother to a son and want to be part of the West 4B. What about your boy children? Male children are socialized and initiated into the patriarchy despite many mothers' best efforts. The West 4B movement is here to reset the patriarchal paradigm that harms children as a whole. Thought they wasn't going to try to change the patriarchy, they just was going to leave it. See how they lie? Teaching young men to see women as people and not property leads to a healthier community that we all benefit from. I am Christian. I heard about this movement and it scares me. God commanded all people to be fruitful and multiply. You mean the same God that flooded the entire planet after he gave Adam and Eve that command? Listen, in order to decenter men, all women need to deconstruct from religions. that demonize them and their children. We hold Zoom meetings that focus on deconstructing from religion and deprogramming the minds of women. Did you catch that? Did you catch the importance of that? Did you catch the importance of that? Did you catch them saying that spirituality doesn't hold any truth to it? Right? That spirituality holds no truth. Family is not any loving support. Their appearance should have no standard. The world around them, the mobility doesn't have a fair structure. People, you have to listen. You have to listen to what people are saying. Listen to what's being said. Listen carefully. I love men. I need a man in my life. I need to have sex with a man. I want to get married and be in a relationship with a man and have his children. Can I join the West 4B? Now listen to the condescending tone here. Great question. The West 4B movement is not for all women. There are some women who love men and want to be picked by a man. What did they just call them women? What did they just slick call them women? Slick just called her a pick me. We encourage you to do whatever makes you happy. The West 4B movement, however, is not a movement that you should be a part of, and that is okay too. There will now be more men for you to choose from. A win is a win. The reason why I wanted to do all of that with you guys today is because it was important not only to point out, oh, there's another, feminist movement, but I wanted to go a little bit deeper than just identifying that it was another feminist movement. I wanted to bring things full circle with you today, and hopefully I was able to do that. I wanted to bring full circle the destabilizing agency nature of feminism ideologies. Feminism ideology is now being openly and rampantly used as a destabilizing agent for all manner of societies. They are even trying to creep it into Muslim societies, which they have had the most trouble with overall. Even in the weakness of the Muslims, they have not had an opportunity to overthrow them or to introduce any real lasting biocultural events to the Muslim countries. So now they tried war, they tried economic embargoes, they tried all of those things, tariffs and, so on. They even tried the infiltration of drugs. They tried the infiltration of to tempt them with wealth. I'm not saying that those things did not have some measure of success, because the Muslims overall are weak. However, they were unsuccessful in creating a complete bioculture with them, because you can't just change one, you have to change three. The culture is the toughest one because Muslims identify too strongly biologically with Islam. So Islam is not just cultural for Muslims, it is the way of life for us. So we're biologically affected by Islam. Islam is not just something we think to do on Fridays and during Ramadan. right? Our physical self, the way we is affected. I'm wearing a hijab because of it. This is my biology. This is my physical self being affected, right? And then there's a culture that stems from that. And then the environment. Because the other powers that be can't affect biology and culture right away, they try to do the environment affecting, but it's limited. It has limited effect because they can't get around to the other two. That and I'm not going off on an Islamic tangent, but I want people to understand that is why a lot of European and Western countries do not like Muslim countries. That's why they don't like them. It's not because, oh, they threaten our freedoms and they jealous of, it has nothing to do with that. They are not, they do not like the inability to produce the lost value system by overthrowing them biologically, culturally, and environmentally. They can't do that to them. This is why France don't like Muslims. All these Muslim immigrants coming in here and they have all types of legislation to ban hijabs and ban this and ban that. And Muslims can't do this and Muslims can't do that and all of that type of stuff. And they don't like the influx of immigrants, failing to realize that the influx of immigrants to France is not the biggest issue. It's French people becoming Muslim. So they always say, oh, these are immigrants. No, they're not. A lot of the Muslim French population are French by nationality because they was born there and their families was born there. So they are French. They're French. They just Muslim. But they speak French. To a large degree, they're assimilated into French culture, but they are Muslim. So you can't kick them out because they've been French for like 3 or 4 generations. They're French. Well, you kick them to go where? So if your family born in France for the last 3, 4, 5 generations, you're part of that country. You are that country. You are that country. You belong to that country. Yes, they are French. See, people don't even understand how that works. French people take Shahada. The white ones whose family has been in France for eons and they don't know nothing no different. That's just like saying, no, they're not their invaders. It's just like saying black people ain't never gonna be American. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. A lot of us was American before white folks got here. And for those of us who are here because our ancestors was brought through the transatlantic slave trade, we still American. What else are we? What else are we? Who else are we? This is the exact same argument. We invaders. No, we're not. We here now. And I only brought up Islam for the Biocultural portion of it. Just to let y'all know that that's why a lot of European and Western countries don't like Muslims. You got to know why your enemy is your enemy. You got to know why they're your enemy. Why is your enemy bent on being your enemy? Thank you, Miss Celine. So don't forget, colorism is a huge problem in Asia too. The East Asians, Japanese, Chinese, Koreans look down on Thai, Filipino, Vietnamese. Exactly. Exactly, Miss Celine. See, Miss Celine brought up a real good point. Not all the Asians are fair-skinned, not even the Japanese, Chinese, and Koreans. We know that, don't we? We know that if you go into rural Japan, rural China, or rural Korea, they are dark. They my color and darker. And they are not implants. Those people are culturally and ancestrally Japanese, Chinese, Korean, and so forth and on. And no, they do not like the other Southeast Asian, which are Thai, Filipino, Vietnamese, Malaysians, and things of that nature, because they are darker. So thank you, Miss Celine. Thank you, Metho. Say anytime you hear gender-based violence, WS is behind it. This is them trying to convince non-white women that their men are monsters and to be avoided at all costs. Exactly. Thank you, Sivan. Say true feminism turns women to covert agents of chaos and dysfunctionalism. It does. Thank you, Mr. Shane. So the Korean situation was bound to happen because you have a hardcore patriarchy, but it's a relatively free society and women have access to resources. Thank you, Miss Celine, again. So they call you a pick-me if you don't hate men or simply try to understand a man's perspective. It's the most overused term, very misused. Exactly. And it's very silly as well. And thank you, Yusuf, again. Say, I'm against no hetero relationships. Exactly. Because how are we going to perpetuate the race, the human race, wherever you are, right? Thank you. Thank you, Miss Celine, again. So they don't understand nuance. They don't. Thank you, Mark. Said nature will restore itself. Thank you, Sivan. Said notice they said no heterosexual sex / marriage. I do. Thank you again. So this sounds like an attempt at fifth wave feminism. Exactly. Thank you again, Mr. Shane. Said Colorism had a no wedding, no womb movement, and it was a DOA. If these chicks can give up D, then I salute them, although I won't hold my breath. You can't, because Black women are the end result of that. Oh, we're not going to do anything and we don't need them. Yes, you do. And they find proxy ways to get men's 4Ps out of them because women always need it. Thank you, Black Goku. So here's the problem with this movie. Everything around them is built by men. So who are they going to call for protection? Not from other women. They don't have the physical capacity like men do. Thank you, Willie. Saying the irony of it all, if the destabilization is successful, the women would blame the women for allowing the dysfunction. Meant to say blame men. Yeah, the women will blame the men. So I wanted to bring out those points. It is both social and romantic lesbianism. But that's almost the small potatoes of that, right? It's not small potatoes, but almost. I wanted to point out that feminism is a destabilizing tactic that can be successfully used against any society. Okay? You can't leave men behind. The reason why this doesn't work is because you can't leave men behind because women do not build infrastructure. If you really want to see, they recognize that, okay, I'm not going to have a husband. I'm not going to have the men, right? And I'm not going to be able to have access to their money and things of that nature. But at the same time, what they fail to understand, and which is why I wanted to read out the part in the article where they talked about economics, where you're going to get your money. Where you're going to get your money. Because if you can't earn the way men can earn, and that is across every society, even when women have freedom within the market, the job marketplace, and not restricted, okay? Men simply out earn them, and it's for the same reason in every place. The reason why is because men don't have maternity leaves, men don't leave for or have to stop work for certain things, biologically speaking, and men are often the ones called upon to do the infrastructure work, which typically pays more, and they are dirty, difficult jobs that women cannot and will not do. So because the men of any society are primarily going to be the ones that are working in these industries and working in the infrastructure and working on the lights and working on the nuclear power, they working on the oil rigs, they working, it's the men that are going to do that across any society. First world society, the men are doing it. Even second world societies, the men are building the infrastructure or they're taking care of it. So that those things pay more, men working longer hours and things of that nature. So men are always going to earn more money overall than the women. They're always going to do that. So the pay gap is always mythical, and it's not based, they don't tell you the real reason why there's pay gap, right? Right? There's not a lot of women that's going to work in the sewer systems and the garbage systems and the landfills and the construction places and the oil rigs and the, the mining. The women are not going to do that. Very, very, very few. You can count on one hand how many women are going to be involved with that type of work. So men have those jobs. You can't desegregate yourself because women can't build infrastructure. They can't have a world that is separate but equal. Women don't have the psychology nor the physicality to do this. So that's the only true way that you would completely autonomously live your life away from men, where you didn't even need their protection or anything. You didn't need to call police or anything. You would need to be somewhere else and develop your own infrastructure, but you still in Korea where the infrastructure was built by men long ago. And you still take advantage of that. You just don't want to have nothing to do with men. It's an ignorant thing. So ignorant, I don't understand how anybody falls for it. And then you got Black women. Here y'all come with a windmill. Y'all gonna windmill for the Korean women. As if y'all didn't fail. As if feminism didn't fail you. Talking about we gonna leave me and y'all ain't managed to leave them. I know we going in a little bit of overtime. Y'all ain't managed to leave no men alone. Y'all still pregnant. Because if you was leaving men alone, it wouldn't matter what happened to Roe v. Wade and no other abortion law, because you ain't having babies. Remember that? Remember how you don't not having no sex with nobody, so you can't have a child. So what does it matter whether or not the abortion laws exist or don't exist, right? Oh, but you open your legs all the time because you still screwing, because you still bouncing on it, because you still swallowing it, because you still somewhere bragging about how you got a Gawk 3000, but you ain't with me. And girl, if y'all don't knock all of that off. Jump down in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Like, share, subscribe to the channel, and also click the link for the channel membership as well, right? Membership content, even at the $10 a month subscription, that's only about 33 to 34 cents a day. So in the arms of an angel, fly away for 33 cents a day. You too can support the Crimson Cure channel. Won't you support the truth, knowledge, and the cook of the Crimson Cure? I couldn't help it. Y'all. But for real, click the link for the membership. right? Because the $10 membership is where you get all of the access to member exclusive content. And I know y'all are gonna wanna have that, right? Because we done already talked about Diddy. Diddy do it. We done already talked about Diddy. Might talk about another individual. I'm gonna wait to see how that play out though before I talk about them. But anyway, one more thing. There shall be no live stream on Wednesday because the end of Ramadan is here and we celebrate the Eid. And so there's not going to be any show on Wednesday because of the celebration. So therefore, we'll pick this back up on Friday. Okay. Thank you so much. LII. For whatever reason, I want to say it's L2. Anyways, thank you so much for your contribution. I appreciate you. Right, the promoted clip. I play that for my members. So you become a member. I play that for my members. But listen, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. All right, bye bye, Crimsonites.